Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday night. Our first Tuesday night here at We the People. Um, I have some panel members in the background, but I want to start out with some remarks. And the reason why I'm here in this solo layout is because I want everyone to know that these are my remarks. They do not reflect upon the panel or anyone else. These remarks belong to me. And I'm going to start out with the two men that were found hanging in trees in Vicksburg, Mississippi, Monday evening. One was a young black man going to Delta State College. The family says that he had 3 broken limbs. The coroner report has not verified that, but such as it is. The other gentleman was an older gentleman, 36 years old. His name was Charles uh, Carthasis. He was a homeless gentleman. But I just wanted to bring these to your attention, whether people knew it or not. And it just so happens that Delta State, along with some other HBCUs, were threatened in connection with Charlie Kirk. And my computer is really running slow tonight, but I have a message. And I made sure that this particular message was 187 words. Now, people in the black community know what 187 is. I'm not sure whether a lot of other people know or not. But anyway, this was 187 words that were dedicated to Charlie Kirk. I've never seen the flag flown at half staff for someone who preached hate and misogyny and division to our country. And luckily, I can't pull it up right now, but sometime before tonight is over, I'm going to read these 187 words because Charlie Kirk was killed. If you want to be, you can say murdered, but he was not assassinated. Charlie Kirk was no goddamn hero. So you could have sympathy for the family. You could have empathy if you'd like. But let's not prop this motherfucker up on no goddamn pedestal. Anyway, I'm going to get the panel up here, and we're going to get on with the show tonight. Brother Gilliard's here. I'm going to try to get you up on the stage as quick as possible. There's the Saw. How you doing this evening, sir?
All right. Good seeing you.
I have Brother Derek here. There he is. How are you doing?
Excellent. Good to be here, brothers.
So, as I said, I had some remarks that I wanted to make, and I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they were mine, and I'm not trying to put my words in somebody else's mouth. But is there anything that you would like to say, as far as either, the so-called suicides in Mississippi within hours of each other, or Mr. Charlie Kirk?
Asal? Well, you know, and I'm surprised I missed that because I'm really a news junkie and a newsman, but I was not aware of the two hangings, lynchings in Mississippi. That is, but of course, we all heard about all the bomb threats to the HBCUs, even though, we had nothing to do with the shooting of Mr. Kirk. And I agree with you 100%. Nobody should be murdered for their rhetoric, as vile and reprehensible as his was, and racist and misogynistic and everything else. But you shouldn't have to die for it. But you're right. When the state Senate majority leader in Minnesota, the white woman was murdered and her husband shot in the middle of the night by a right wing anarchist who came up in a police car with lights on and a mask and was perpetrated to be a police. Our president never chose to lower the flag then, nor say anything positive about her service and the fact that she was executed in the middle of the night. But we want to make this man a martyr and a hero, or at least they do. So yes, I'm with you on that. And now I'm deeply disturbed to hear about what you just shared on the top about the two men.
Brother Masada, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. I was in for the to hear what you had to say. I can echo some of your sentiments verbatim. I feel about the same way in a lot of aspects of that. So,
Yeah, like I said, I mean, since 2000, there have been 8 black people that have decorated the trees of Mississippi. And whenever I hear about a black person, especially putting a rope around their neck, uh, it maybe it's just me. You know, I'm sorry. I got a little off topic there, but you know. So anyway, to kind of get back on our subject for tonight, slavery's legacy and the politics of memory. Um, the way America remembers slavery is as political as it is the institution itself uh, once was. Uh, what's remembered, what's erased, and who decides. It seems like that's what we're in the battleground of. We have people that have said that we concentrate too much on slavery, that slavery was just like any other period. And actually, the gentleman that just passed kind of said slavery was good for us, taught us social skills and different things. But I digress. But, gentlemen, when you think of how slavery is remembered in America, in schools, statues, culture, what's the first story or image that comes to your mind, and why? Brother LaSalle, I want to start with you.
Yeah, so I would say what comes to mind is one, the popular false perception, and I'm going to explain that. And then for me, I would say victimization. And we're talking about what's portrayed, right? Portrayed by statues, basically how America shows uh, as we were as slaves, our ancestors. victimization is one. Um, the popular thing is, whether they say it or not, victory of European whatever, what do you say, civilization, culture over um, all other races, all other groups, and particularly over Black American. That's how it's either implicitly or explicitly shown. That's the memory that they kind of that's triggered. Um, one of victimization, one of almost, I would say, even purpose. Like if you ever notice, like in the movies, how they portrayed Egypt. Movies about Egypt is a big one. How they show these white pharaohs, oftentimes, or even Middle Eastern looking, even like they look Arab, oftentimes, and they will find a way to put Black people in it and show them as slaves, even in the civilization that clearly it was kind of inversed. Um, So always depicting us losing. And so that's how I see it depicted on a popular scale as far as how it's remembered. And then a little bit of resilience, but we'll get to it later. But I would say resilience mixed with passivity. That's what I think of.
Masada.
Honestly, man, you caught me off guard earlier with all that. I don't watch the news a lot. I did hear about. I haven't even been on social media really. I've been with family and trying to ingest everything because out there, every time we talk, I always wonder and ask myself, am I doing enough? And then why is things not changing? Um, but to answer your question with that, man, I always think of like redundant. Like it's kind of like Brother LaSalle said. Um, I've always said when I said why teach slavery, I was always meaning why always teach that we were less when I know we weren't. And I figured people do that to implant that in one's head, whether you're not Black or African or just have melanin in it. If we can be really talking real, we're all people, but just because you have melanin in your skin, you're darker than others. Because all races have a Black race, from any Latino, any race you can find Black people there. So with that being said, they always portray it in a negative light. And I've always asked why I always teach that, because if you're not looking like us, then you always feel like you were empowered, but you know that's not the truth. Science, once again, proves that. It's just evidence, and it's always wondering why. But then the next is they always show the same figures. Every Black History Month, since I was little, there's always the same ones. I'm from the South, so we get taught a couple of different ones. In-house, you get taught different ones. So like Nat Turner is one of the favorite things I think of. I don't think about Rosa Parks. I do. Thank you for what she's done and everything. Martin Luther King. I'm more Malcolm. I lean towards. I do, brother. And let me apologize. I didn't say what up to Brother Derek and Brother LaSalle when I got on, or you, James. You took my mind away because you said Mississippi again, and I'm from there. So I looked it up. There's one Black guy, one white guy. I get why they maybe did the white guy. No, the Black guy, no Black man that I know from there is going to put a noose around their neck and hang themselves. But also, I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I'm from the southern region of it, where it's still prevalent, but it's a little bit more cool. It's not the northern half. That's another thing to talk about. They always teach you that slaves ran north and went north. The more north I went, some of the races, it gets racist. And I'm like, so what happened? And that's all I got to say, brother, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around I didn't even know the half mast of the flag for this dude. And once again, any type of death is horrible, but at the same time, man, I digress, and I'm gonna give it to you all.
Brother Derek.
Yes, sir. I think the image, and there's so many of them, but the image that is so stark to me is the Black man. They called him Whipped Peter. His name was Gordon, and you see his back. You've seen that image, right? It is so scarred. It is branded. He escaped from slavery in 1863, left the Mississippi plantation, and they found him and they brutally whipped him so bad that after he navigated 80 miles in the swampland, that he was bedridden for months. And that's to me, that is an image seared in my mind and my psyche as a symbol, just like so many others that we have seen, telling us, you stay in your place, and if you get out of your place, this is what happens. And so it was a fear tactic, and it was a very real one, and that's one I can never shake. They called it the scourge back.
And one of the stories is, after he after he escaped and he healed, he became a Union soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's kind of get our main topics started here. The first thing I want to talk about is erasure wars, and we're talking about textbooks, monuments, once again, public memories. You have a governor that has actually banned certain Black books and certain parts of Black history. He has altered, or should I say, white history, in order to make things more palatable. Let's do it like that. Derek, you've seen legislation pushed to ban CRT and limit books. Are these really about protecting kids, or is it about protecting power?
It's mostly about keeping a people, and not just us, but all people, uninformed, keep them ignorant. And part of that, there's a bit of that white fragility. We don't want our kids to have to be exposed to that and realize that this happened, because guess what? The truth hurts like hell, but it's real. And so I think that when you can keep people ignorant, you can keep Black people, because what did Clarence Thomas say? He said, not Clarence Thomas, it was Secretary of Housing, Ben Carson, during the first administration. He said slavery was the first form of immigration, right? So if you get people to believe this garbage and think that that's real and applicable to you, and not to know that your people invented science and astronomy and built great things like the pyramids and art, if you think that you're just you get them to believe that you're just murderers and buffoons and all these things. So that's why they don't want, because America's never fessed up to the fact that Black people built the wealth of this country. Another great book is The Debt by Randall Robinson, Max Robinson's brother, that talks about the impact of Black people on this country, the positive impact of making it. But so, 29 states have outlawed some form or fashion critical race theory and that whole teaching of Black history. So we know what's going on in the Smithsonian. And so one of the things you do with a people, you take their culture, you take their language, and you take their history. And so that's what this is all an attempt to do. And you can do it legislatively if we don't do our jobs and make sure that our people in our houses, in our community, know that history. Because we can't count on the government. And every state in the South, except for North Carolina, has done that to some extent or another.
And one of the things that kind of I couldn't understand this big thing about CRT, because CRT is not taught until you get to a college level. At least that was my understanding. Am I right, dear?
Yeah, that's primarily when CRT is begins to be taught. You're right.
So when you try to say that we're affecting, you know, kindergarten kids and nursery kids, this makes no sense. But then again, I kind of digress. But the Saul, uh, when you've lived on the margins, like being unseen is survival. Do you see America erasing slavery as the same way? If you are not, keep denying it outright and pretending that it doesn't exist, that eventually people will believe that.
Most definitely. Yeah, this active denial of history. And to be fair, and then to piggyback a little bit off of what Brother Derek said, um, it's been done to whites as well about our history. And doing genealogy, I've talked to a lot of white Americans who, a good number of them really don't know that about the connection of their family to slavery. And then very little, I mean, if you think about it, like if there's no personal connection to it on their part, that's how they, separate from it. And if they can't do that, then they'll definitely won't be able to see, the descendants of slaves, you know. So that's the one thing, especially on their end, that it's actively denied even to other whites. They just like you said, whitewash history. And but it's worth mentioning too, uh, Black Americans, us, we also have forgotten a lot. Maybe it's through a trauma response, just as damaging, just as damaging, you know, is us forgetting. And then also it got beaten out of us as far as our history. But this way of dealing with stuff, resilience and passivity, almost like unfortunately in some places of the South where we turned the other cheek, you know, we had original standards as peoples that we had before being enslaved and brought here. And I dream of a day when we recapture those standards. With standards, there's certain things you will and won't take because you know who you are. Try not to get emotional about it, thinking about it now, but just to be so powerful, this collective. We have a collective, um, our collective consciousness to some degree, at least on a material level, we've forgotten who we were. And I think that's even more effective in destroying us than whites, or well, won't say whites, we'll say government efforts to destroy and override our history. I would love to know on that, by the way, who were some of these individuals who already knew about our history? You think of Herodotus, for example, he knew about the history of Blacks. I would love to know who were these particular people who knew that a lot of what they were teaching about who we are by nature was BS, and they actively, out of fear of who we really are, uh, taught BS. And I would call it just an educational massacre, educational maafa. You know, so it does resemble that. When I think about being in the streets, it looks very much like. It looks very much like what happened to us when our ancestors were slaves. In that, you guys know, you could actually go to jail just after emancipation, you could go to jail for being homeless. You can go to jail and be locked up for not having a job. This was
So,
after we became free. Yeah. So
yeah,
similar.
uh, there were a lot of laws that were passed, to make sure that even though the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, we stayed in our place. A lot of people, I don't know, whether you fail to realize it or not, but Juneteenth was 2 years after the Civil War was over. Suppose black soldiers had never went to Texas, would we still be on cotton plantations? I'm just saying, hey,
That's good. That's real. That's real.
you know,
James, if I could add a point to what
go ahead.
LaSalle had to say, that was actually the beginning of the prison industrial complex. Because you're right, if you were loitering and hey, you had no education, in most instances, I mean, you had some skills because of the skills you learned, as an enslaved people, but you didn't have other skills. And so, yeah, let's start. And then that was the way the Southerners, when, they took the Northerners, well, the soldiers, the U.S. Army pulled their troops out. And that was the way the Southerners start to get people to continue to work their land, even though slavery was over, but you were essentially like an indentured servant. And so it's not that different than what we have today in a lot of ways.
Masada, as a musician, you carry a lot of memories, whether it's from gospel or hip hop, the songs that you remember, the songs that you create. Do you think that America's embraces black music as a heritage, or that it exploits it to make history, to mask history? Sorry.
I'm going to answer that, and then I'm going to answer the one about the CRT and what they were talking about, because America's been duping us for years. But obviously they exploited. It really hurts, because the other day I finally watched One Night in Miami, and it was like, that's what I always be talking about. I've never seen it, and I'm like, so you had 4 prominent black male people there, and they had a scene where Brother Malcolm was fighting with Brother Sam Cooke, and he said powerful thing. He said, Jim Brown is using his voice. Look what he has, his influence. Brother Cassius, who's now Muhammad Ali, is using his voice and speaking out. What about you, my brother? And then he played love songs. He wasn't talking about banging on each other. He wasn't talking about downgrading and degrading our women or degrading our culture or none of that other stuff that hip hop talks about today. And I'm sad that we do, but we live it. But he was just talking about love, and he still got challenged by his brother, and they still were able to understand each other to where he made one of the best songs of all time that really meant something, because he was like, I do have all this power. I can influence. And what he was trying to do, Derek, brother, for a second, was what you had just talked about, and what Brother LaSalle talked about when you were saying loitering and then they couldn't get a job because they didn't have those type of skill sets. Nah, they changed the game on us. They had all the skill sets in the world to live free as a people. And you mentioned it before, to be emperors of civilizations and write thousands of years of books and histories. And it just got taken and whitewashed. And I don't care what people say, that's what they do. And so with the CRT, getting into that part of it, I'm not surprised, because for years they've only told us the same rhetoric, the same. You get Rosa Parks, you get Malcolm, and what you get about them, what you get about not Malcolm Martin, what you get about them, what you get about George Washington Carver. You get the same ones, and you get the same thing, and that's it. And then other than that, you get We Were Beaten. You get millions of episodes of us being niggas, and I don't even like saying that, but you get millions of episodes of that, from movies to rap lyrics, you talking music to other things. Everybody feels comfortable saying it, and we try to empower it. And I used to, because for me, I was a Tupaculipsian or some shit like that, where I love the never ignorant getting goals accomplished, NIGGA. And that's what I thought all the time. Motherfucker, I'm never ignorant getting goals accomplished. I knew what the word meant. So when people tell me that, I look at them like, okay, I get what you're saying, but once again, if it's 1,000 people in the room and it's only 4 of us that are dark and they say I'm gonna shoot the first nigga I see, nobody else is flinching. So stop telling me that's cool. But for years they've been whitewashing, for years they've been downplaying, for years they've been changing the game with their history and their stories. And we all know whoever wins the war gets to be the decider of what goes on. And so they decided that we need suits. So nowadays you're not fly unless you have a suit. In this picture I have a dashiki. I love dashikis. I had a brother James. I went to a show. I had to tell this. I went to a show of a homie here. I don't like going to shows, but I went to a show of the homie. He introduced me to some of his people. We were all cool. I'm standing on the side. We get to the club. There's this black brother with him, these other brothers. So I'm on my side doing my thing. He's over there with his thing. I have a dashiki on, a big, nice dashiki on. I'm trying to go talk to these brothers, but I'm feeling the energy. So I'm like, I'm gonna let them do their thing. A white guy walks up in a tight little dashiki. This brother who ain't said nothing to me in the 5 minutes. That's such an awesome dashiki you got on. I said, that right there is what's wrong with us and why we can't get together, and why movies like One Night in Miami makes me cry, why I talk too much and wonder what's going on about, why do we have all the power and the influence, we talk and we ain't got nothing, we not doing nothing. Because it don't matter what I say, what LaSalle says, what Derek says, what James say. I'm not, and you can name any athlete or anybody with money who will get mad and be like, don't count my pikers, and I'm not counting your pikers. But when Malcolm X, when he asked Sam Cooke that, I said, yo, is the universe fucking with me? Why am I watching this movie? I watched it 2 nights ago. My wife put it on, and that shit just pissed me off. It literally had me in tears, pissed off. Because when y'all talk Mississippi too, here's a fact that y'all can go and Google. I'm Googleable, by the way, as well. But go Google all the most known famous people from Mississippi and watch how much influence and power in the world. And some of the greatest athletes, some of the great everything, not just athletes. I'm not picking on my brothers. Y'all are our warriors. Y'all cool. We cool. Just anybody you can name with money. Money is the game. They changed the game. The game went from bigger power and strong to we're going to put morals in, codes and ethics, and we're not going to live by them. And we're going to put Bibles and God and codes in, and you're such a humble people, you're going to live by them, and we're going to disregard all of them, and y'all are going to eat it and love it. And that's what we have today. Y'all got me on the wrong topics, man.
Hey, it's good to hear and see your passion there, brother. I mean, there are a lot of subjects that I try to put forth to make us think and to make us also reflect upon our history and just who we are as Black men and our responsibility in the world. I wish I had done this 20 years earlier, maybe even more than that.
You're doing it now. And disclaimer, I count myself in that, because when you talk music and all that other shit, I used to be ignorant. I used to be dumb. I used to talk party and want to try to reach out to, and then I thought maybe I could reach out to those type of people. And then I started trying to change. And then I'm like, what do I have? And how can I use my voice? And then people criticize me and be like, yo, you're a hypocrite. And I think you can change and grow. And that's what people should do. So.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I have problems with certain things. That word hypocrite is something that kind of resonates with me. But we're talking about forgetting or remembering, and how it's shaping today's politics. Derek, do you believe that politicians who sanitize slavery are rewriting history, or are they rewriting the future, trying to shape how the next generation thinks?
I think it's some of both. Because, I mean, if you take a people's history away from them, if they don't know who they are and whose they are and what undergirds them, that's one of the things that my wife and I were super conscious with our 3 kids, all of them. But But yeah, because the future is, because one of the things that I find is, even with young white kids, when you tell young white kids they can't learn about this, guess what? They want to go and find it out. They say, what is it you holding back from me? Why don't you want me to know? This is like telling them they can't learn about sex or anything else, right? They want to know. And so I think if you keep a people ignorant, it is easier to keep them in bondage. So I think it's both. It's both. As my old boss used to say, it's not either or. It's both and both of them are happening. And you to do it, to see it done legislatively again, which we thought that we had moved past this back from 64 and 65. Civil Rights Act of 64, Voting Rights Act of 65, but it's all the okie doke. We're going back full circle, doing it again, just finding different avenues to do it. So yeah, I think that they are using the laws and using their pious positioning to justify it, because it's again saying that they don't want to hurt the thoughts and perceptions and psyche of young people. But young people, they know when they're getting fed a crock of BS, and I think that that's what you're seeing, the pushback from a lot of that.
Masada, when your children ask you about slavery, do you emphasize the resilience, resistance, or the brutality?
Um, all, but I focus more on the resilience of it. I talk to my kids real. Some people might not even like the way that I would talk to my kids, but I talk to them very real. I don't hide anything from them. We talk about a lot of stuff. Right now, my son right here, Messiah, he's the one right here. Him and the twins, they go to a dual immersion school where it's mostly Spanish, so they learn Spanish and English all day, and he's been in fights, a lot of fights, and he's been called the N-word, and then they tell him that they're allowed to say it because it's so cool, and he's confused because the way I talk to him about it, he don't even say it, and he's like, nah, you know what I mean? And I got to give him a little props right now because he's a champ. He goes there, and the reports be that they pick on him, and it's weird because I don't condone violence, but I'm also, like I said, more Malcolm. You slap me, I'm gonna slap you back. So he's cool with it. He got hands, and that's pretty cool. But I don't want him to have that environment and have to do that. And so, with that being said, I teach them that there were people like Nat Turner who led slave revolts. You know what I mean? I teach them that, hey, you bigger than that person, right? And that's why they picking on you, right? You that's better. You're beating them at a game that they think that's for them, but soccer originated and played in Africa all over the world, like it's football. It's just jealousy. And I try to teach them about life, and people are going to come at them because my kids are mixed. And that's another thing. They get it from both sides. They get it from all types, just like I do. And to me, that's what I'm trying to cure right now, because it's been going on too long. It's just going on too long, man.
LaSalle, do you think that America's habit of forgetting slavery, its economic foundation, do you think that perhaps maybe that contributes to the way that poor and unhoused people are targeted today?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Foundations of it, as you know, they're erasing the history of it. Um, we talk about how we can't, it's inescapable. We'll talk about the foundations of capitalism, right? In the West, it's directly related to that topic. Um, our work literally made the difference between tall buildings, um, a lot of advancements that were made, and those contributions were there to some degree, as far as like they remain in some areas, But our major contribution, the leading of history, the leading of which, like Brother Derek said, the leading of history is the leading of our identity. You know, we're more of our past than right now, because the past is alive. Everything that we've experienced is alive. So the main thing is, we don't want, it's like people act like they don't want the history, you know, they don't want the truth. And the reality is, raising these standards back up to where, if a person says around us says the N-word, for example, first make them delete the history and then say it's okay to say the N-word, you know? And the thing is, no. If a Black American or whoever wants to say the N-word around you, I don't care who it is,
Well,
that's a
wait a minute.
boundary right.
I don't use the R. I just use the A.
Right. And you tell them it don't make no dang difference, because in the South, they oftentimes they use the A too. Exactly. It used to be the same, had the same sharpness to it. But the invisibleness, again, of Black Americans in the street is all too easy to ignore, as it's growing. So I see a direct correlation to that for sure. And when you have that eraser of identity and struggle and homelessness, it's exacerbated with us. And what have my cat decide to act up all of a sudden when I start talking? I'm just like stopping them here, stopping them there. But like I would just use a quick little symbol. I think of Haiti. I think of Haiti as a very similar model of what happened. So not just, oh, we were impressed. No, we've had conquests we've had victories. We've overcome slavery, and they want that deleted too, with financial oppression, you know? Yeah. So it's very, 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 they mirror each other.
I would like to say something to that, because you said something about basically they take stuff and then regurgitate it back out differently. It's been documented. They throw movies at us. They throw films at us. They throw it in hip hop. We can see it. We can see the dynamics. I've mentioned several leaders. I always mention Malcolm because he's one of my favorite. But with Derek, with Brother Martin and all that, they will show you the transition from brother to, I didn't see Malcolm them. They'll show you Malcolm go from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X, right? And they show you he stopped using that, calling each other brother and brother and brother and brother. And then they show you integration of hip hop. And this is a trick to it, because you'll think hip hop made it bad. Hip hop started out, because you have to know it. The music started out with rebellion. The music started out with like fight the power type songs. Where I'm from in Mississippi, on a big water tower, they had one of my favorite songs. We headed for what is it? We headed for self-destruction. We headed for self-destruction. I was like a little kid, and the song was already old, but it was all written on a big water tower. And then they documented going from that, and then they try to blame gangster rap, and gangster rap just showed you what was going on to the streets till they gave you more money. Till now, it's not talking about the struggle. It's talking about go and fuck this up. I got more money than you, and go and get this. But it's not talking about what they're doing with the money. So I had to interject, because it's been documented, and they throw it back at us, and then they make us learn it in a different way, or make us, we see what's going on, and then we can talk about it. It's more than it's we have memes, and we have different things that tell us, and we're kind of waking up. But at the same time, a brother will post a meme about saying what up to a brother, and they'll see you, me, or anybody else on the screen and walk past with a smug. So once again, I digress.
Brother and me, I'll let you know that. When I went to got my graduate degree in African American Studies, my prof, he was teaching black militancy. Now, I've had plenty of Dr. King and everything. I mean, I was immersed in that, but like one of the guys we studied was Robert Williams. We will shoot back. That he's part of the Deacons of Defense that up in North Carolina, and you had the black freedom movement there in Mississippi. So yeah, there's a lot of that. But guess what? They're all important because, hey, Malcolm made Martin and Martin made Malcolm, and you needed to show people we're not this monolithic group. And if you mess with us, because some folk, we say we will mess you up. So you got the whole spectrum. So I think because that's who we are. We're rich people. But I think it's tells you something when all our kids can tell you every word of so-and-so song, but don't have a clue about what's impacting them and with the economy and what they have access to. And so that's where, I think I said it last time, I felt like my generation dropped the ball there, and I don't see it changing. I see it going the wrong way, not the right way. And so we got to do something. And I remember I used to say that, the N word, and I remember a couple of brothers. It was my first job out of high school, and they said, "Man, you shouldn't say that." I remember I was used to I'd say bitches, and and they, and I started thinking about it, and I said, "Well, you're right, because if we don't respect ourselves and our women, how can we expect somebody else to?" So I'm through.
No, I really understand what you're saying, because as when I first came back home, I immersed myself in the street life, and those terms and some of the other things went with the life, as we call it. And it wasn't until I went to the federal prison in Milan, Michigan, and I met some of the Panthers from Detroit and some other brothers, and even though we were doing our thing, it was still, we took that time to read, to learn, and to try to, I won't say, at least speaking for myself, I knew that I was going back into that life, but I also knew that this was something that maybe I could put away and use in my later years, which now it has. But I think that's one of the things, Derek, you mentioned it earlier, the Civil Rights Act, 1964. I think a lot of us, and I'm speaking for myself, when I heard, 4 years ago, 8 years ago now, when 47 was 45, and they were talking about the voting rights, and I'm like, didn't we go through this? Hasn't this already been settled? Derek, when did we lose control of our own destiny here?
Yeah, it's a damn shame that we have to keep going back and essentially recertifying the Voting Rights Act. Why? Who does that make sense to? As a good friend of mine always said. Yeah, because it's always a time that they can look back and say, well, we needed that then, but we don't need it now. But look at all the gerrymandering going on right now. So clearly, you're going to always need it, as far as I can tell. I mean, there's just...
Are we going back to the jelly beans in the jar?
I'm telling you. Hey, how many bubbles in a bar of soap?
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things, I mean, that's why, too many of our people now they're very reluctant to leave the country to go on vacation, because they said, I don't know what kind of trouble we'll have getting back in. So, eternal vigilance. I don't often quote white men, but I say eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. We can't go to sleep here because, if we do, we'd be SOL.
Yeah, really. So when society is they see a black man, you're on the street, singing or praying. Uh, do you think that they can see your resilience, or do you think that they see a stereotype of passive survival? All they want is a handout. Do you hear a lot of that when you're out on the street?
This is my absolute favorite question. Um, and when I just thought about it again, I realized um, I actually was that person. I actually was praying out loud and did some singing, some praising, while homeless, while on the street. And, because of the resilience and the strength that I had, very, very deep spirituality, um, a lot of spiritual education that really strengthened me. And I could not help but to wonder, don't I look like that typical trope of like almost like the happy slave type of thing? Resilient, singing and dancing, no, not worried about nothing type of thing. And the question was, what do I think about that in particular, that idea?
Well,
Because
well,
I've got
how do you think that reflects on the slavery? Slavery's distorted memory. Like you
yeah.
said, the dancing, you know, the jigaboo, you know.
Well, I think of the very things we use to get by, because we still have to have things to get by now, and to have strength. It was characterized, and we'll say music, for example. You mentioned "Fight the Power." Even before that, "Fight the Power" is a similar type of song, uh, but before that, the spirituals, and around that time, we that was power. That was power. It wasn't like dancing and playing around. And this is what I really hope the world really learns about Black people and the music, for example, and the art that we gave. It wasn't about like just having fun and just, it wasn't, no, that was like therapy, but also power. Uh, it was not just a release. Like I'm from Compton, so the fairly new art form back then, it was crumping, and they talked about that, recapturing that power of our history and our ancestry, and expressing our frustrations and such, and that was a way to be resilient. Boys, stop. See, there goes the cat again. um, he wanted to pull the whole thing down. Um, but that resilience, I feel like with us, it's not. I'm not sick of the word, but taking, being strong enough to take crap from oppression, that sure can look like being passive. You know, it's very much time. Like even Nipsey Hussle said, stop playing defense. It's why he jumped over the ship and said, forget it, play offense. Um, that perception of us is still there. We're tolerating. We look like we are uh, being resilient. We're being knocked down, and even people that call themselves being compassionate with us, it's like, oh man, y'all been through so much, man. I feel bad for what's happened. It's like, but when we regather and raise our standards of who we are and what we will and will not tolerate, us building each other up. Oh man, yeah, way past resilience, power. And so easily being seen as a person, a Black man who's homeless, people are, I'm telling you, I'm sure you guys seen it. People have become, what's the word where it's like, it's a Black dude on the street, Black woman on the street. It's almost
Families,
like, so
whole
what? Like
families.
whole family. And it's normalized almost. It's like, no one's really affected by it. And from what I see every day, and I keep it like in my neighborhood where I live in San Diego, I'm like, oh, yet another black person in the street, brand new face. I get so angry when I think about that because in a lot of the neighborhoods, again, they don't reflect the neighborhood demographic as it is as people who live in the area. They're oftentimes people who maybe they come from neighborhoods that used to be mostly black, and then they're gentrified and they're homeless, mentally ill, all of that. I'm sorry to say it this way, but fuck being resilient. Um, Got to move forward with that sword, and it can be mental, skill set, maximization. Uh, yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Masada, I want to go back to music again. Do you think that black music, film, art are preserving the memory of slavery? Or do you think that they're being watered down and stereotyped for mainstream comfort?
It's been sold out. I mean, what more you want me to? I can. It's been sold out. All the companies. Name one black record label major that's owned by a black person that black people run it and tell. Name one hit song that's been very positive besides the "Don't Say Pharrell Be Happy."
You mean Motown ain't owned by black people no more?
Hold up. Now, I mean, prominent in this day, my brother. I know black Motown used to be, but that's my point. A lot of, to me, when I talk about a Tupac, he just talked about a Nipsey or stuff like that. We can talk about football with Kaepernick. I don't quote white people either that much, Derek. I don't really quote anybody, but I watch memes, and there's this white. I love when white people do stand up and say stuff, and this white dude's like, "Yo, ain't it a shame that they banned and was so much hysteria over a black quarterback kneeling, and then they have masked everything for some white. I don't even fucking know the dude. I just know the stuff he be saying is wild, and so that shows you two different flavors. And with music, film, and art and everything, it's hard to speak on because I know so many are doing so much nice things and so many nice things. You know what I mean? And I do put it in quotations. My sons don't do it, so it's funny to me because even kids know. So at a certain age, we all know what's right and what's wrong, and we have so much power in any industry you want to name, but the entertainment especially, and what's been doing with it. We get movies making fun of us, and they'll have a movie of Django, and it's one of the greatest selling movies, and Quentin Tarantino gets them to say N-word 15 million times, you know what I mean? And then we talk about Kendrick with the Super Bowl, and we talk about he had Samuel Jackson out there. Everybody makes fun. He's one of the famous memes. Then they put the meme behind that right now. And then we had entertainment with Uncle Ruckus from what's that show, The Boondocks, and all this, man. We have so many ways. So it's really hard to get my thoughts because I'm trying not to be passionate about it because I want people to hear me. But I've understood and overstood something for so long, for about 2 or 3 years now. Because Brother Derek, if people don't tell you like they didn't tell me, you don't know. And so that's what's important about us having legacy bearers and us putting it out there in the culture in the real way and telling these youngsters. I didn't have it, but I have it now. So I've learned that no matter how nice you say it, being resilient or being whatever, people aren't going to want to hear it. So when you say fuck being resilient, LaSalle, I fuck being resilient, fuck being anything. But why are we like this? Why are we being pacified through entertainment? If nobody's going to feed me at a certain point, I'm going to go feed myself. And the problem is not enough of us at this moment. And I'm not going to say y'all aren't, but people aren't at this moment are willing to choose one way or other. I'm a retired Rough Rider. Our slogan is ride or die. Everybody likes to say ride or die, right? Yeah. A lot of people are riding until they figure out that, oh, it's time to die. No, my brother Derek, Martin is one of my favorite people ever too. Don't get me wrong. I don't never compete him and Malcolm against each other. Yeah. I know why they assassinated both of them, because they were too powerful. And that's why others from that era that were up there with them still live, because they weren't, it's ride or die. And a lot of people don't, that die part, people say it until it's time to go to war and go to bat. So why we are pacified, why we're not up at arms, Brother LaSalle, and you see other people in the street, because it's not us against them. It's not they not like us. We not like us. We not like we used to be, because now it's, if they're gonna give me $1 million and all I gotta do is not fuck with y'all.
Hey, yeah,
Hey, hold on. That's not me though. I'm up here. People say you do it and talk shit because you don't got it. I'm always been me. M.E. Masada Ellis. I've always been me, not apologetic. I felt this way since a kid. Head Start, I have to give props. I was a little kid. My first speech ever, Derek, I have to let you know. My first speech ever was the I Have a Dream speech. I was a little kid. I memorized it. My mom came. It was one of my like shiniest days. They had a little suit on and all that. And I memorized every word, but it fucked me up when I got older, because when they say the contents of somebody's character, not the color of their skin, my own skin people chose that. I got sisters that don't look like me. They look like my kids who are still black, but they don't look like me, you know? So it's hurtful with the music, the entertainment, with everything, but it's hurtful for us because we're entertained by it. The Roman circus. But what happened? The Bucks, where they stopped basketball that year during COVID a little bit, and they didn't want to play in the rest of the world for George Floyd and all that. That was momentum. And then what happened? Well, you're gonna make y'all famous. We can give you a championship. They got the championship 2 years later. Kaepernick got out the league. Anybody with Cap, you got blackballed, and they doing it to Deion Sanders' son now. And everybody's like, we're not above the league. I'm not watching that league if I can name some players that ain't playing. If they go and make their own league, I'm watching that league. I don't watch it now. But even me saying watching it, I used to go to football games with wife. That's how we met, right? You would see stadiums filled with people who will fight you over their team.
Yep.
Over their fucking team. If you died today, that team not giving you $1. You say San Diego, the Chargers moved to LA, and you still got people loyal to them. But let them want to rise up for any type of public thing, standing up in the streets. Oh, I got to worry about my job. I got to worry about me and my family. It's me and mine. The entertainers, Michael, Prince, Cosby. I don't care what y'all say about anybody. What Bill Cosby did for young black men and young black boys, and giving you somebody that you didn't have in your home that was motherfucking right. Like what? And then they did that. Y'all can say what y'all want. You know what I mean? Like they try to say about Martin too. They talk about, they always try to bring up anything they could be outside of your character of who you are, of something that exploits you. I don't give a fuck if somebody loves sex. I don't give a fuck if somebody did this. Now, if they did it immorally, cool. But why is it all these years y'all let that slide and then y'all let it go? Even with something like a Diddy. I don't know. I'm not there. But everybody is like, they can't be this chumpster with the Epstein. That's his homie, and he can say it's not his homie. Everybody else is, I don't know a Diddy, but then I see some clip Diddy like, yo.
Diddy's with Hugh Hefner, ain't he? He's staying at the Playboy Mansion.
Listen, I don't give a fuck about nothing what Diddy did or anything like that. The reason I wanted to mention that is because I wanted to say this. This is how I feel about anything like about a Diddy. I don't give a fuck about nothing he did except what he was trying to say. He said, let's put our money together and let's do this. I want to build this. So anybody else, you can talk to me about whatever else. They always going to assassinate your character and make you they're either going to kill you or make you crazy. Because I think somebody alluded to a Kanye without saying Kanye, right? They're going to give you superstardom fame. They're going to make you talk all good. And then when they see you got too much power, they're going to do you like they did a brother Malcolm. And I'll go back to him because a lot of my black people love to say Malcolm. And I be telling them, yo, Malcolm had all the power in the world and they didn't like it when he was able to get black people together. And when he said, hold on, I need everybody with us because it's us against them for real. They really not like all of us, all the people I see in the street, all the people who don't got the power and the money, and that we all are brothers. After he went to Mecca, they said, oh, you can't live no more. When he had 1 million black people together, it was cool.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Derek, should the fight for an accurate memory of slavery be a policy priority, like healthcare or jobs, or does it always get headed on, like a symbolic thing instead of something substantive?
Yeah, it should be much more substantive because it's the foundation of this country. Again, this country's wealth and everything that people admire all over the world is based on what Black people built during slavery. Yet nobody coming over here, from the Asians, the Latinos, the folk from the Middle East, the Arabs, none of them comes over here to be like Black people. That's not their goal. They're trying to be like the model American any way they can. But to be honest, I don't know what it would take for that to be happen, to be set on that level of a priority, because what that would take is America being honest about who and what America is. And America is hypocritic. I love America. I love this country. But it's like our kids. When our kids are wrong, our loving them requires that we correct them. Well, you correct them in love, but if you don't correct them, that white policeman or that person in the mall or the store, they don't give a rat's ass about your children and mine. And so we have to particularly make sure our Black sons understand that. I told my kids all the time growing up, especially my boys, hey boy, don't nobody love you but your mama. When you get out there, you got to have a different posture, and you got to know that, because we can fight anything if we get you home. But if we got to visit you in prison or go put flowers on your grave, and I think we have blown that. Too many of us have not made sure our kids knew that going out the door. And when you don't, that's when you end up, with situations. And so, yeah, I it should be, but I just don't see this country being to the place. I don't know. I'm kind of losing that hope. To be perfectly honest, I want to be proven wrong, and I'm a very positive and hopeful person. And I wanted to go back to a couple of things that Brother Emmy said. So by the time both of them, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go
By
ahead.
the time Martin and Malcolm had both died, I think we were much more closer philosophically than they had, because Dr. King was saying, I fear that I've sold my children, my people, into a burning house. And I think, and so I think they had deep respect for each other. They just came at it different ways. You talked about Cosby. One of the things about Cosby, and I agree with you, because he gave people an image, and that's just like I told you about Barack and Michelle. Whether we vibed with him on their policy and especially what he did in the second term, I think there's plenty of reason to come as you did and having problems with that. But they gave us an image. And so Cosby, I don't know if y'all remember the film, and this is something I would encourage your listeners to go back and see, and you can get it. He did a beautiful film. It's called Black History, Lost, Strayed, or Stolen. And that's still a very relevant film. So see, because whatever anybody did, you can't take away the positive things that he did. And two books I want to encourage people to read, because that's one of the things actually my grandfather-in-law used to say, if you want to hide something from a Black man, put it between the pages of a book. But the education of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History Month, is back in 1933. That's a great book that they're still so relevant today. And another one, we talked about all the things that Black people have to deal with, because you got to kind of Du Bois, the souls of Black folk. He talked about the double consciousness Black folk had to wear, because when you out in society, broader society, you got to act a certain way. But when you get back with your people, you can be you and your people. And that's a certain pressure that brings on alcoholism and drug use and violence in the home and all kind of psychopathic things that we, high blood pressure and heart disease, all these things we have to deal with. So we have to, even more than everybody else, we have to learn to love ourselves and each other.
Self-loathing has always been one of the other side's tools. to keep. I think it was it Lyndon Johnson that said, if you make the poorest white man
That's right.
feel that he's, how'd that go, Derek? I know you probably are more familiar with it.
Yeah, if you want to make him feel that at least he's better than that black man. See, so that's why they vote against their own best interest. They vote against Medicaid expansion. They vote against Head Start, and all them. They're gonna feel that heat as we get deeper into this thing, and that's why you see in these town hall meetings. These are white people at these town hall meetings, mad as hell about what this president is doing. And look at all these people getting
Well,
fired, losing their
this
jobs. Most
man
of
got
them are
shot.
white people. That's right.
This man got shot at a white town hall meeting at a white university with mostly all white folks there. But we got people hanging in Mississippi, but I digress. Anyway, so I know we could all go on, but next Tuesday we'll have part 2 of this. But I do. I'm going to ask you guys. I think this is a very interesting question to close out a discussion, and I'm going to start with you, Gasol. If you could have one sentence to put in every U.S. history book about slavery's role in America, what would it be?
Ooh-wee. Okay, give me 10 seconds for that one. Ooh-wee. Okay. Uh, the ex the, the exploitation of the excellence of an oppressed people. And I mean that. The exploitation of the excellence or the strength of a people. The robbery, even, of the strength of a people.
Um, what about when you lose your identity? I'm kind of going back to roots there as the
Mm-hmm.
natural stereotype. You know, my name is Kunta Kinte, not Toby.
We number one.
Once you become a Toby,
That's it. Yeah. And I'm really big on that too. The identity, taking away that identity. And again, same strategy today. This black women, black men versus each other, this beef that, it's been just inflamed. It is a direct cousin and descendant of the very first strategy to take away the identity. Everything else will eventually fall apart. But here's the thing, though. I like to be hopeful too. One, we can regather it. What's that word, Sankofa? I believe strongly in that. It is not impossible to gather it. I believed very strongly before there was DNA ancestry. God is my witness. God is my witness. I said I will find out where I'm from. They say, "Oh, you can't look it up with census records." And I remember being a kid. I said, "Nah, I want to find out where I'm from." And sure enough, the DNA technology came out and all this. And guess what? A lot of the progress that's going to happen is going to increase. It's going to increase. And I just think we need to grab hold of it. And we can just simply consolidate what we already actually created here. We'll say the music, the blues, the arts, the philosophy. Right now, there's something called, I think, Black existentialism, and brought up philosophy. And I feel like, why not turn that to more of this optimistic but strong excellence in whether it be philosophy, mental and psychological excellence. That's what I'm pushing for. So I will call it that, what we just talked about, but I also believe in that way out, the way forward.
Masada, what would your one sentence be?
That's so tough because I'll be wanting to do a conjoined compound sentence and a run-on sentence and all.
Well, hey, we didn't ask you to make it. You didn't have to make it correct grammar.
Yeah. All right, but no proper English grammar. I honestly will start off with telling you're powerful when you look within. We have a DNA code made up of generations of our ancestors that are probably turning over in their graves. That we've trampled over them, but they're still there. It's kind of like the movie Black Panther. It's twisted. It's good and bad things you can take out of the good for stuff, but take like a Killmonger. I'd rather jump with my ancestors than die in the sea with those type ancestors. But I have to be thankful for the ones that did make it and changed it and know what we have overcome. So just be proud of who you are and find out and know you are.
Brother Derek.
And I'll put my challenge back on this country. Until this country is honest about the fact that Black people built this nation, the wealth of this nation, the reputation of this nation was brokered on the backs of our people. Until America can do that, things are never going to be right racially in this country. And America, you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. And I think we're starting to see some of that. And I agree we're going to get through it. But this country has to own up to who it is and what it is. And it is not what it claims to be.
So true. Brother Derek, final thoughts.
I appreciate you all. Just hearing the different perspectives, it's an encouragement to me. And I think that I'm excited to now. I think I figured out how to share this on my socials. I'm figuring out socials like that. I never had to do any of that except for tweet, because that's all that Donald Trump did. And that was my albatross. And so, but I think so many people need to hear this. And I'm just looking forward to trying to do my part to help get this word out, because our people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray. So let me not say that. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited to be here and excited to hear and learn from you brothers. And iron sharpens iron. Thank you.
Brother LaSalle, final thoughts.
Yeah, this one's gonna be one of the shortest, but I'm just gonna add to what the brother said there. Pray also, like Frederick James said, pray with our feet and move forward. Remember too, y'all, Black Lives Matter. It had a lot of controversy attached to it towards the end of that situation before Biden was elected. But never forget, though,
That's right,
the inspiration. I mean,
yes.
We talk about, oh my God, our young folks, they were out there. They were out there.
And tons of white people too. Tons of white people too.
Yeah. And they were together. Like there's something that we didn't really think we would see again. Especially our kids. We thought, we kind of thought, oh, all they care about is PlayStation. And I wonder if there wasn't a pandemic, how much of that would have happened, what they've been able to really, have time with themselves to come out. But they've been in that belief, that passion that they had. I still think of the young woman that walked up on stage, the young light-skinned sister, there was another sister with her, took the mic out of the hand of one of the Congress or someone that was speaking and said, you know what? Y'all don't want to hear what we got to say. We gonna say it. I mean, come on, man. That
I
grit
remember that. I remember
took
that.
by storm. It was hijacked, but it still happened. That energy in our young people. So I think it can happen again, and it can happen in a way that more experience, uh, and I feel like more structures. We still live with the things that came from it. I mean, statues fell. Okay, they're trying to build. They're trying to put the statues back up, but worldwide revolution already happened, and you can't take it away. Remind those kids and these young adults of that freaking power they got. Move from there.
Amen.
Masada.
Echoing his words, they need guidance. We're hungry. The younger people are hungry. I talk to a lot of younger and older people. The difference is you all had structure. You had guidance. You had leaders, influential leaders that told the young people it's okay because I'm gonna do it. Those young people did it, LaSalle, and then nothing happened because nobody that they looked up to or had the power to do it happened. Also, I should have talked about this earlier, and I'm gonna make it really quick. Go look up. I watched the news the other day. Sometimes wife will throw it on, and I dislike it. And I saw a whole bunch of white women with black fish shirts on, and I was like, "Oh, Black Power!" And it wasn't for Black Power. It was for something else. Go look it up, and that's how you steal and take. And no disrespect, because I probably support the movement they were going for.
Right.
I just don't support. I did this, and now it's an inside joke. I guess not no more with me and my wife. I do this, and it's like I broke down for her. Literally, she couldn't talk to me for like an hour. Like, don't talk to me. I can't believe what I just saw. And then I understood what it was doing, and that's what we were talking about with CRT and everything else. You just keep putting what you want in there, and it's going to keep happening. So my final thoughts are, Brother Derek, I laugh because I get the older generation with technology, but with social medias, I need to be on there more too. This is the way that we can connect with millions of people worldwide.
Yeah.
And our iron sharpens iron, but more than that, brothers coming together, bringing more brothers together and form unity. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you, LaSalle. I appreciate you, James. Thank you all. And this is what I've always needed, and this is what we all need in this world. So thank you.
Amen.
For my final thoughts, I'm going to read my 187 words. Charlie Kirk, a national hero, a martyr. Come on, son. Heroes beg for freedom. Martin Luther King Jr. took a bullet for justice. Women chained themselves to fight for their rights. Real heroes marched through tear gas, dogs, and wore scarves for equality. Charlie Kirk, he wasn't a hero. He was a hustler, a megaphone for white grievance, a hype man for backlash, a man who weaponized the Second Amendment while kids' bodies are laying on the floors of their classrooms. They want to put his face next to King's, next to Selma, next to the Civil Rights Act. Come on, son. Kirk didn't fight for none of those. As a matter of fact, he spit on most of it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't expand freedom. He shrank it. He didn't unite America. He divided it. He wasn't cut down in the struggle for justice. He lived to smother it. So don't hand me this fairy tale about Charlie Kirk, the national hero. He wasn't a martyr for America's future. He was a mascot for America's past, a salesman for the supremacy of blue suits and red ties. The truth about Charlie Kirk, He didn't die for freedom. He died for carrying water for power. And if you call that heroism, then you insult every giant who bled to make this country great. Come on, son. Let's stop confusing grievance with greatness. That's my 187 words for Charlie Kirk. And that's my opinion.
I share, my brother.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Let me
night.
know what's happening, and I will talk to everyone next week, and we will continue this discussion. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Run it back. Blessings.
Well, guys, we got through it.
We did.
Yes, sir.
So-
Thank you.
It's great. Great. Yeah, this is real good. This is inspiring. This is